Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Q&A of the week. We got a super interesting question this week that we think is really worthy of a bit of discussion. So the question was about finding the right self-care practices or boundaries around your instrument or your craft and your relationship with your instrument or your craft, which I think is such an interesting question because we do talk about this quite a bit. It's like, oh, what can you do on this particular day to feel more relaxed and to feel less pressure? But it's like when you think of boundaries, that's like a long-term that's a long-term thing. It's like your relationship with your spouse. It's like
Mhm.
what can you do to maintain the boundaries with your voice, for example, with your voice use if you're a singer or if you're a guitar player.
Mhm.
So, yeah, and I'm sure Stephanie, you'll have a lot to say about this. Like, what's coming up for me is the idea that really, if we think about it long term, this is kind of unique for everybody
Mhm.
in the sense that when I think of the relationship with our instrument, it's kind of like the relationship with our spouse. It's like everyone defines those boundaries very differently and has very different needs around that.
Mhm.
Like some couples are like, oh, we can sleep in the same bed every night and we can do work in the same room every night and we are fine. And some other couples are like, no, we absolutely need space sometimes for mental health and equilibrium and need to like work at opposite sides of the house or different rooms, or somebody needs to sleep in a different bed a few times. It's like everyone is different. I think that everyone is different because everyone has a different things that will affect their equilibrium,
Mhm.
their internal balance. So the thought I'm having with like an instrument is like, you might feel like you're playing piano every day and watching videos of people playing piano every day, and you still feel completely emotionally balanced within yourself and in your confidence and your sense of self as an instrumentalist, and that's fine. But for someone else, they might feel like doing that every day is starting to make them feel like off balance and maybe a little tired, a little drained, a little insecure. And so, what do you need to do to take some distance to regain your balance and get back into the activities that you need? I think that's such a personalized
Mhm.
kind of thing that people have and go through,
Mhm.
because just like with their spouse, with their craft, it's different. Like there's people that paint every day and people that paint twice a week because more than that starts making them feel as happy as they are, but also drained.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts around this? That's kind of what's coming up for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think you really nailed it. Really, if you look at it, your relationship with your craft or your art as like a relationship with a spouse or another person, a family member maybe, um, it. I I think that really is a great way to look at it because then you can think about like when you get triggered by certain things, like you were just saying, okay, let's say you feel like you have a healthy relationship and you feel like everything's good, but then you start noticing all the other pianists around you and you start comparing yourself to them and then you start feeling less than and then you start feeling like you have to prove yourself more and um, so this is such a difficult question to answer with like a substantive answer because like you said it's so different for everybody, but I think the bottom line, like at the heart of it, is to always be assessing where you are and how you're feeling. So if you do start feeling this kind of envy or jealousy or like you're not good enough or maybe like a codependency. I mean, we know a lot of artists feel codependent on their craft or their art. Um, if you start feeling like you need it or you need to do it well to be considered worthwhile, worthy, valuable, then you've got this kind of codependent relationship going on and you need to look at that. So, in that case, I would say your boundaries with your art or your craft, you have to start looking at what are other ways that I can feel like I have worth. Like, is it can I find a different way to frame my worth rather than just like how well I play the piano, let's say. Because if all of your worth is put into that, you become codependent on it, like a codependent relationship, and then you need to do it more and more and more and more. Then it's never enough. Then you have no boundaries. Then you're practicing all the time and it's taken over your life and you're
Mhm.
totally imbalanced, you know?
Yeah.
So, again, I mean, this is really hard to answer, but I think, like you said, you have to assess it yourself and know, do I feel imbalanced? Do I feel codependent? Do I feel jealous? Do I feel whatever it is? And of course, you know, a lot of this stuff is normal, but
Hmm.
if it feels like it starts getting into the like it's taking over category mentally or emotionally,
Hmm.
then you have to sit down and think, okay, how would I treat this if it was an actual relationship, and what kind of boundaries would I need to put up? Am I practicing too much? Do I need to go out and go see a movie or go to the art museum or do something that'll inspire me, and make me feel connected in a way other than how well I'm able to do my art?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everything you said is really, really important. Yeah. And there can be signs of how far sometimes the mechanism has gone, like
Hmm.
avoidance. I feel like sometimes avoidance is like a sign that everything is already fairly misbalanced. And it's a good thing
Hmm.
to recognize, like, oh, I'm at a point where I'm avoiding
Right.
my craft a bit. That already shows that the levels of the stress are high. So, what can I do?
Hmm.
Really understand where the balance started really getting out of center for
Yeah.
me.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really a case to case basis. Yeah,
It
it's
is. Yeah. I
it's
mean,
looking at
sorry that it's kind of an abstract answer, but it's a difficult thing to answer, you know, if it's not like an individual case.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I think everything you mentioned, definitely a lot of food for thought for everyone. And if you all have more specific questions, absolutely reach out to us. And we're more than happy to discuss your case specifically.
Yeah, if you feel like your relationship with your instrument or your craft might be imbalanced, let us know, contact us, and we can help you with it.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week.